Hi, I'm Colleen Nelson, licensed therapist, trauma expert, and fellow badass woman ready to rise up right alongside you. This podcast, Let the Rest Burn, is for the woman who has ignored, attacked, or even silenced her inner voice because she thought it was broken and needed to be fixed. It's for the woman who is ready to rise up and fully step into her desire, her joy, her full power, and make the impact she was destined to make. For the woman who cannot stand one more second waiting, watching, and witnessing the world crumble and is ready to rebuild and expand into a better future. For a woman who is so done trying to fix the world, she decided to start with healing herself, and she let the rest burn. Hello, and welcome back to Let the Rest Burn. Today, I'm going to be telling a bit of a story, and I want you to kind of come along with me on this story because this is what has led to so many decisions in my life. And I don't think I realized the impact of this experience until just recently. I knew it was transformative. I knew that it set me up in my life in a way that I just hadn't even thought of. But this was such a moment for me to just come to terms with, I've been on this path for a while, and now I finally get to see it come to fruition in a real way. Okay, so the title of this episode is Why Retreats Saved My Life. And I mean that literally. I want to start off with the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. So at the end of 2011, I had gotten a job at what I considered to be kind of a dream place for me. It was the Eating Recovery Center in Denver. And I was working as a therapist with patients who were struggling with eating disorders. And so it's been a passion of mine. I have a trauma focus, always have. And it has been my belief that eating disorders are based in trauma. So I was so excited to be in a position where I felt I was making a big impact. I was in my 20s. I was still in graduate school. I was completing my practicum, gearing up for internship. And I was enjoying myself. I love being a therapist, honestly. But I was in the middle of a pretty up and down, tumultuous relationship with a gentleman who was struggling with alcohol, raising 2 kids, and he was a musician and definitely loved the ladies, to say the least. And I was just in a really unhealthy place with myself and kind of chasing after him and just in a relationship that didn't make me feel good about myself at all. And I made a decision in January of 2012 to fly us to Costa Rica for his birthday. I wanted to surprise him. I booked 2 first-class tickets. At the time, I was working full-time and I got student loans. And I used my extra student loan money to book the tickets instead of paying rent, which I normally did, because I figured I could pay rent with my new salary that I was getting. I wanted to, celebrate. Well, I told him, and he said no. He would not go on the trip with me. And in fact, broke up with me numerous times, over and over and over. But this was one of the times we ended things. And I was devastated and crushed and felt so stupid. It's those moments where you look back and you're like, oh, why did I do that? Well, I felt that in the moment. I felt ridiculous that I made that decision, especially because, of course, now I'm out 2 first-class tickets, and he actually never used the credit ever to this day. So I canceled the tickets. I have credit. And I'm so just upset. Well, I go to work those next couple of weeks and I'm not in a good headspace, and I'm oversharing a little bit with the patients. I'm just not watching my boundaries. And one of the other clinicians reports me that I am not having good boundaries with these patients. And they're very strict about boundaries in this setting, just because the patients themselves are in a really vulnerable place. And I was just oversharing. I was sharing about my relationship. And they'd been kind of looking for a reason to oust me because I was very upset they didn't have a trauma program at the hospital. But this was what they needed. So I got called into HR and they let me go immediately on the spot. Didn't really provide any explanation. I got it later. And I was out a boyfriend, out rent money, and out a job. And then my internship that I had signed up for just completely flopped. It was with a private practice, and the person I had signed up with is an incredible clinician, but just not somebody who knew or understood how much supervision I really needed. I needed to get my own clients, and I didn't know how to do that. And so it just flopped, and I dropped out of internship. So here I am, no money, no rent, no boyfriend. I mean, just a disaster. And I moved home with my parents, and I just felt like the world was imploding. I felt like I lost everything. I had no friends back where I lived. I had a falling out with my best friend. We're good now, but I just really didn't have anybody. I had no support system. I didn't have lifelong friends that I stuck with since high school. I had a few friends in graduate school here and there, but it was just such a lonely and dark time for me. And I didn't really understand I didn't know what to do. I was a therapist, sure, but I didn't know what to do. And I had been going to talk therapy, and it was okay. I talked through the stuff that was going on, but I just kept feeling like I went in every week and said the same thing. And she was very supportive and helpful, but I couldn't get out of this funk. And over the summer, I met a few people. I'm very social, so I was able to make some friends, but people were kind of, I don't know, frustrated with me because nobody wanted the drama, right? Nobody wanted the person who was struggling around, especially in your mid-20s. And I just felt so isolated and alone. And I was falling apart. At no point did I really want to take my life, but I wanted to disappear, and I wanted to give up, and I wanted to just crawl in a hole. And so one of those afternoons where I was just so depressed and so upset with the state of my life, I booked a ticket to Nicaragua for a yoga retreat. And I took the credit from the Costa Rica trip, and I applied it to the plane ticket to go to Nicaragua by myself. It was a little crazy, but I was like, I have to do this. I have to do this. And I flew out in August 2012 and went to Nicaragua by myself. And it was really scary at first. I arrived, and I didn't feel safe, right? Obviously, I was nervous and scared and didn't really know what to expect. And I was so, I think, nervous about what this trip meant that I think I got inside my head, right? So I got there and I just panicked. And I started looking at return flights. I started looking at how quickly I could get back. I was like, get me out of here. This is so hard. And when I was there, I was like, man, I really wish I had a community I was going to and people that got it. And I really wish I had a therapist, honestly, that I was going to be going on this journey with. I think, the second best thing. I had a yoga leader and a group of women who had signed up for yoga teacher training there that I connected with and that I spent some time with. And they were life-giving. To be in a community of women who are not afraid of the hard thing, to be vulnerable, to talk about how difficult life had been, and to also inspire me and to give me hope. I started to see the light again. But what was the most impactful piece of this trip for me? And I really want to emphasize this. It was that I finally got out of my day-to-day routine, and I was in a completely different country. Opportunities arose for me, every moment. I would go walking down the street and something completely different would happen. I would meet someone new at the smoothie shop. The neighbor to the yoga retreat center took me to this incredible island called Ometepe in the middle of Lake Nicaragua with an active volcano and an inactive volcano. And I went swimming in the middle of those two in a place called Ojo de Agua. And it was unreal. And they say one of the most powerful emotional experiences you can have that can break you out of depression, grief, sadness, pain, fear is awe. If you experience awe, your brain stops everything and it pulls you right back to the present moment. And it lifts that heavy backpack off of your shoulders. And it's like you can breathe again. And I just felt the awe. And it reawoke something inside of me. It was a desire to live, a desire to be, a desire to heal. And I couldn't find that in my day-to-day. I couldn't find that in what I knew. I had to find it in what I didn't know. And this retreat shook everything up. And as I was, concluding the retreat, I knew that this was something I needed to create for people. And as a therapist, I knew how incredibly powerful it would be to have a healing component to this. And so I did it. I created a retreat just like this. And I'm taking these incredible women in about a week from the day I'm recording this to Costa Rica to heal, to reawaken, to be alive again, to find connection with each other and to face some of the very difficult things we don't want to face, but don't do it alone and do it with the support of not only a professional, but also women who get it. I've been on many retreats since Nicaragua. And every time I go, I am just shook to the core at how powerful it is to be in community, to be in a place where everybody drops their armor and just shows up. They show up for you, for themselves. It's not that retreats don't have their stuff, right? Like, let's be clear, we all have our stuff. But what's beautiful is if you have a leader who actually takes that stuff and puts it on the table and says, let's talk about it. All of those fears, the imposter syndrome, the concern about what people think, it all melts away. And it melts away because you're able to finally say, I can be me. I can show up and be myself. So I want to invite all of you that are listening to think about what it would feel like to just take a week out of your day-to-day, to step away from everything, all the responsibilities, all the problems, all of the pain. And even if you're in a wonderful place in your life, just to step away and commit some time for yourself. What comes up for you when I say, let's think about doing that? More often than not, it's a feeling of being selfish. We're all taught that to choose something for just us is a selfish act. And that is the problem, right? We are taught that to fill our cup up is selfish. And that is the complete opposite of what is truth. And I am here to break that paradigm, to change it, to say enough, because this is where we need to finally change this. We need to say to the next generation of kids, absolutely, shake some shit up and do something different. Don't get stuck in a rut. Don't just take antidepressants and call it a day. Go change your life. Go take a week and lay on the beach and zip line through the jungle and talk to that stranger and listen to safe stranger and listen to people living their life differently and speak a different language and be around a different culture. Do something different. I don't think you have to necessarily go on a luxury international retreat to do something different. But you do need to do something different. It is one of my lifelong goals to create a wellness retreat center here in Colorado, where I can create situations like this, where people can sign up for a weekend or a week and come up and just replenish and have therapeutic support as well as wellness support. Because I think we need this more than we know. I think all of us deserve a place we can just recharge, refresh, and have the support we need so we can go back and give the people we love our fullest self. This is one of those moments in time where I know everything's about to shift. I know this retreat that I'm taking these women on is going to be the first of many. I know that the Wellness Center is in the works and is going to be a reality. And I know that this goal I've had since 2012, this person that I've wanted to become, she's finally here. So get ready. Things are about to get really interesting. Thank you for joining me. And I will be sure to share all the pictures and stories on my Instagram. So check those out starting October 16th to October 23rd when I have these incredible women in Costa Rica for a life-changing experience.
Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate every single second that you chose to set aside for you and the impact that you're going to have on the world today. To be inspired, to be seen, and to hold space starts with the very actions we take with ourselves. Look at the show notes for more information. Like and subscribe and share with friends if you feel inspired to. And as always, let the rest burn.